This is culpable homicide not amounting to murder. There are very serious charges against Allu Arjun's presence outside the theatre, Sandhya Theatre, prior to the release of his movie Pushpa 2, and that is the reason why he has now been arrested by the Hyderabad police. His gesture to reach out to the family, offer 25 lakh rupees as initial compensation to the family, and offering to take care of the medical expenses of all the of the people who were injured in that particular stampede. All that is on one side, but if you were to go by the law, what I do understand from top police officers is that since there are multiple sections of the law, including 118 under the BNS, the Bharat Nyaya Sanhita, and therefore Allu Arjun was today arrested by the Chikatpalli police here in Hyderabad. That's the area where in fact the Sandhya Theatre is there, and he has been picked up from there. While it's a straight case where a star appeared at that place, and knowing fully well that there is going to be madness and there is going to be huge numbers of people who are gathering there, he stayed there for almost 15 minutes. His subsequent explanation saying that I was not aware of what happened outside because by that time I had gone into the theatre. He had also said that he had informed not just the theatre managers but also the ACP of the area. All that now becomes like a blame game between the police and the star himself and his team, because on the one hand, Allu Arjun's team has been saying that they did inform the authorities about the arrival of the star, but knowing the kind of craze that Allu Arjun evokes, especially after his Pushpa 2, even otherwise he is a very, very popular star, very stylish star, and not just youngsters or men, but across all ages he has fans, and they had gathered in big numbers, and that's why we saw the very, very unfortunate death of the woman in the stampede that happened following Allu Arjun's arrival at the theatre and his presence there for 15 minutes at least outside the theatre. There are three things that were said. One, that he could have in fact used a rare entrance, and we don't know whether that is because the police or the authorities did not guide him, or he decided that he must be with his fans because there is a memento, there is a mood that is built up when a big star comes out there to watch a film that has been eagerly awaited for very, very long now, and therefore whether that happened or whether Allu Arjun deliberately decided to come out there not heeding the advice, or was he not advised that this should not be done, and whether adequate arrangements could have been made better for ensuring that this kind of a stampede does not result. So on the one hand, I will talk about, yes, there was a stampede situation. Who is to blame? Of course, is part of the investigation, but the police certainly believing that there is culpability on the part of Allu Arjun. That's the reason why multiple theatre managers have also been arrested. At least half a dozen theatre managers have been arrested. Allu Arjun has been taken into custody, and we understand a few more people from Team Arjun are going to be picked up by the police. This is something that I have from reliable sources, that not just Allu Arjun but a few more of his team members are going to be arrested. Already we saw theatre managers who would have been in charge of the kind of arrangements that are made outside the theatre for regulation of the crowd. They have also been taken into custody. While all this is happening, I will also take a step back and talk to you about Allu Arjun, whether there is a political nod at the highest level for something like this, or is this happening purely on the lines of police investigation, and therefore this big star being arrested is also a question, because in Andhra Pradesh, for instance, Allu Arjun has faced some trouble because he had campaigned for a candidate of the YSRCP, and that did not go down well with the now ruling NDA or the Telugu Desam party. Then it did not go down well with them, and that was also seen to have certain political repercussions for his film release here, or at least there were apprehensions that that could be. But of course, there were talks that were held, there were negotiations that were held, after which, say in Telangana as well, he was given permission for that special show that he had before the release, before the formal release, official release of the film, and it was during that special show, or rather just before the special show, that the very unfortunate incident of a stampede happened. The Telangana Chief Minister had told all actors, actresses, big producers that if they want a hike in the rate of their films, if they want concessions from the government in the form of extra shows or special shows, they must also contribute their might by doing something for awareness about narcotic substances. And Allu Arjun had also released a film on awareness on narcotic drugs, and subsequently his film was also given those concession of special show, as well as the ticketing prices as well. So right now the big development here in Hyderabad is Allu Arjun, whose Pushpa 2 has just released, being taken into custody by the Chikatpalli police for causing a stampede, or rather the case against him is culpable homicide not amounting to murder, and he's been taken into custody now for appearing before Sandhya Theatre on the evening before the release, official release of his film. This was at 9:30 p.m. that a special show was to happen, and it is around that time that a huge crowd had gathered outside the theatre. Not only those who were going in to watch the film, but also those who had gathered there just to get a glimpse of the star. And what we are told is that he had spent as much as 15 minutes outside the theatre, and that only added to the chaos there and to the kind of situation there that went out of control, leading to the unfortunate death of a woman.
Right, Uma, so from what we're hearing is what really happened at the time, because even his security team was booked in the case. So was it that were they fighting back as far as the people who were coming charging towards them? What really happened at the time of the stampede? Of course, people were taken by surprise. They saw their favorite star land up right outside the theatre. They charged towards him. That caused the stampede. But why is the security team and the actor being booked? Was it that were they trying to push the people away which caused the stampede? Was it the starting? Did the stampede start from their end?
So a huge crowd had gathered there for the special show of the Pushpa 2, which was before the official release of the film on the next day. So this was meant to be a 9:30 p.m. show at Sandhya Theatre, which is in quite a crowded area of Hyderabad. Allu Arjun arrived there about 15 to 20 minutes before the show, and he took the main entrance leading into the theatre, and he had spent about 15 minutes outside because huge numbers of people, obviously his fans and others, gathered there with the excitement and with the thrill of looking at Arjun in person. And this is obviously part of the celebratory kind of an atmosphere that you see outside a theatre before the release of a film. As always, for all the big stars, there would be bouncers and they would have their own security team. So presumably, Allu Arjun also had his own team of bouncers and security men as well. And of course, there were policemen, local policemen also deployed. What I was told by eyewitnesses is that compared to the number of people who were there during the time that Allu Arjun was present outside the theatre, he had come in not through a rare entrance to avoid this kind of chaos outside the theatre. He had come in through the main entrance itself, and therefore spending 15 minutes outside the main entrance means that many more people are milling and coming towards you. But I must say that the stampede did not happen when Allu Arjun was present on the road. What we are told is that the star had in fact gone inside the theatre, and even after that, obviously the crowds continued because he was present in the theatre, and the excitement and the thrill of a film like Pushpa 2, who's the prequel to it, the Pushpa 1, the first part of the film, had done exceedingly well and was very, very popular, not just in Hyderabad or Telangana or in the Telugu states, but across the country and even the world. And therefore there was huge expectation and that aura that a hero brings. And even after Allu Arjun went inside, there was a lot of confusion. What eyewitnesses told me is that lot more policemen actually came after the incident had happened and not before. So was the police not informed adequately before Allu Arjun's arrival? Because it's a matter of common sense that if an actor like Allu Arjun is allowed there should be police permission and there should be enough deployment of security personnel on the ground in order to ensure that this kind of a milling doesn't happen. The other thing that you would need to do is, of course, have people cordoned off at different areas so that they can watch him from a distance. But I must point out that that area of Hyderabad, which is the Chikatpalli, the crossroads actually as we call it, that area is extremely crowded. It is always, there are many theatres in and around that area, and therefore stopping the traffic for something like this would have been a very unwise decision to do, even if it is 9:30 in the evening. Even at that time you would find huge crowds in that area, and therefore the presence of Allu Arjun itself would have been enough reason for people to rush in there. If the word spread around, people started sharing the videos of Allu Arjun being there, so obviously more numbers of people would come in there. You can see any number of people in the shots as well, shooting Allu Arjun, in his car, not just in his car. In fact, we see him opening the sunroof of the car and also standing out in order to greet his fans, in order to, in a sense, connect with the fans as well. So all that also obviously led to the crowding and ultimately led to the very unfortunate incident of the stampede happening. Allu Arjun had already gone inside the theatre when this happened, but big numbers of people had already gathered outside, and his presence for 15 minutes outside the theatre led to that kind of situation that got out of control. Three things here. One, whether Allu Arjun's team had this as a pre-planned thing. So did they get permission from the police? The Allu Arjun's team and Arjun himself has put out a note that said that they had informed the ACP of the area, but was that a last minute information that was passed on that did not give the security personnel enough time to arrange for people on the ground to ensure that there is enough cordoning happening? Did he have permission to come through the main door of the theatre? If he had expressed his willingness or his desire to watch the film along with his fans for the special screening itself, then did the police give him permission, express permission to arrive in that manner, or was he advised to take another route? Did Allu Arjun and his team heed to the advice of the police is the question that will be asked. Whether they informed the police adequately in advance, did they get written permission or otherwise from the top police officers who would be in charge of security in that area, and did Allu Arjun's team heed to that advice if indeed they had given that information to the police in advance that he would be arriving there for the special screening. Back to you.
Right, Uma, in such situations and circumstances, when it comes to these film stars making an appearance, whether it is at an event or at a film theatre for their particular film or whatever, they know that they'll garner a lot of interest. They'll have people, rushing towards them. There's certain protocols in place, especially when it comes to the security team. They probably take a different route, or at least the areas cordoned off at the time that they're making that entry or that exit into a building or into a theatre. Were those protocols not in place at the time when Allu Arjun reached that theatre? Or was he thinking that he can just, perhaps he can enter without any kind of excitement that would be built up?
See, very clearly all this will be part of the investigation now, and this is certainly going to court as well, where it will be heard before the court. As of now, what we do know is that Allu Arjun arrived near Sandhya Theatre. At least for 15 minutes he was present outside when huge numbers of people had gathered there, and that would have certainly caused a huge security threat in that area, because he is known to be a very, very popular star, not just among youngsters but across age groups, and therefore hundreds of people would have gathered in that very crowded area. And the fact that he actually opened the sunroof, obviously as part of acknowledging the presence and the euphoria that his fans are at that in that theatre just before the release of such a big film, the euphoria that was there, he would have tried to kind of in a sense connect with his audiences, and that's the reason why he opened the sunroof and he stood up. And very often we have seen in these kind of situations that when you can physically see a star, most people are wanting to move ahead and try and see if they can get a glimpse of him, get a selfie with him if possible, or reach out to touch him. All those are things that happen and are known to happen in situations like this. So the investigation will now have to reveal whether Allu Arjun, one, had sought the permission of the police to arrive at Sandhya Theatre before the special screening of the film prior to the release. The next day was meant to be the official release of the film. Second part of it is, did he have permission to go through that main entrance that where it would have been very, very visible to people? And 3, whether he had permission to stay there for 15 minutes, and whether he was advised or otherwise that he should open the sunroof and wave to the people. All that adds to the kind of energy of the crowd, which is trying to celebrate not just the release of the film, but being able to see in flesh and blood the man who they adore, the man who they admire, and whose fan clubs are all over the country now. So these are questions that would need to be asked to know where the blame lies. Of course, the court will be looking at whether the police had information, whether they reacted according to the information that they had, whether they had advised, whether they gave written permission. All that will be in the gamut of what the police or the court will be looking at as part of the investigation. But very clearly, the police believe that Allu Arjun's team was at fault in causing this kind of an accident, and that led to the very unfortunate death and also injury. And therefore, they have arrested him now to send out a very clear signal that we will not tolerate this kind of behavior that led to a disruption of peace in the area, disruption of the kind of the order in that area, chaos and order in that area. And therefore, that's the reason why they've gone ahead now and arrested him. The sections under which he has been arrested, multiple sections of the BNS, and this includes culpable homicide also that has been added to the sections, because of which Allu Arjun has now been taken into custody by the Chikatpalli police here in Hyderabad.